All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the Carolina Panthers. They have a shot to win their division and host a playoff game. This team started 1-5. They're currently 5-8, and if they win out, they have a very manageable schedule. If they win out, you're in. So you hold your own destiny in the fate of your hands. Steve Wilks has done an absolutely phenomenal job rallying the troops, building that momentum, getting into a smash-mouth football team. Just keep on pounding. I am absolutely loving it. If you guys want more Panther content, hit that like button, hit that sub button, but most importantly, show some love down below. Let me know what you guys are thinking about the Panthers right now and for the rest of the season. They got their first road win against Seattle, and Seattle is a playoff team. All right, whether or not they make the playoffs, they are a playoff caliber team, and it doesn't matter if their record is undefeated. It doesn't matter if they have no wins on the season or if they are 500. When you go to Seattle, you better expect it's going to be loud. It is going to be loud. Their fans always show up. They always show out. They do a great job at supporting their football team, and this was just a resilient victory for this Panthers team. Let's try and get to 100 likes on today's video. That would absolutely be awesome. But, Sam Darnold, 2-0 as a starter right now. To me, he is an absolutely perfect game manager. But right now, they're just pounding the football. They're pounding the football, man. And it is so fun to watch. Steve Wilks said this quote right after the game: "Great teams learn to finish. Let's go be great." And it really resonates. In the last couple of games, ever since they've lost CMC, they've actually been a much better run team. In the last month, they ran for 47 times for 232 yards against Atlanta, 46 times for 185 yards against Denver, and then yesterday, 46 times for 223 yards against Seattle. And what that does is you just dominate possession. I mean, you're battling it down below in the trenches. We'll talk about the Panthers' defense in just a second, but you are battling it down into the trenches. You're getting that defense tired, and you're controlling the clock. And if you're controlling the clock and you're moving the chains, you're controlling the game. Just keep on building that momentum. Just keep on pounding. Now, I'm not necessarily sold on Sam Darnold as a starting caliber quarterback. I really wanted Baker Mayfield to work out in Carolina. I really wanted him to work out in Carolina. But you know what? There were no turnovers. There were no mistakes. He hasn't thrown a pick. There have been times where, some of the decision-making was like, all right, is that what we're going to do? But like I said, 2 straight wins against 2 great defenses, or Denver's a top 3 defense in the NFL. Seattle, I still think they have a really solid defense. I know they're missing a couple of pieces, but what NFL team isn't missing a couple of pieces? When we take a look at Carolina's defense, they are ranked 13th in the NFL, and I think that is completely out of proportion, or blown out of proportion. I don't see that at all. I think it really just kind of boils down to a couple of games earlier on in the season, or a little bit midway through the season, where he gave up 42 to Cincinnati and 37 to Atlanta. Without those 2 games, and maybe the San Francisco, the Matt Rule game, 37 against San Francisco, I mean, they're, to me, probably top 7 defense. People kind of forget, not Panthers fans, but people kind of forget this was a borderline playoff team headed into the regular season. In the offseason, that was the thought process. I just don't think a lot of people anticipated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be this desperate. I mean, they are absolutely desperate. I love what they have. J.C. Horn, to me, is a rising superstar in this league. I love C.J. Henderson. I love Xavier Woods. I love all of their pieces on the defensive end. To be honest with you, I think they're just an extremely talented defense, and I think every single week, as we've kind of seen it so far in most of the games this season, your defense is going to keep you in it. I mean, Shaq Thompson almost has 100 tackles on the season. He also is extremely underrated. Frankie Louvu is also a rising star in this league. Top to bottom defensively, they have their studs. They have really solid complementary role players. They have younger cats. They have some veterans. It's not like Carolina is an older team or their defense is older. It's actually, they're probably going to dominate the NFC South the second Tom Brady gets out. once they get an offensive coordinator and once they have a franchise type of quarterback, I wouldn't be surprised if they started targeting, some of the not bigger name free agents, but bigger names in the NFL. Like guys like Derek Carr. I'm not saying Derek Carr, but guys like Derek Carr. Curious to see what they decide to do in the offseason, but we'll deal with that when it comes. They've completely found their identity. And I really think Steve Wilks should be back as the head coach next season. I mean, Matt Rule is just, I don't even like saying his name. I know Panthers fans would agree with that statement. My cousin lives in Charlotte, and he told me a story one time about how he was working at a country club, and it was basically like just kind of a shitty Matt Rule story. He was like, yeah, from that moment forward, I think it was like this past offseason or a couple of years ago, actually, he was like, yeah, from that moment forward, I knew the Panthers were going to do nothing with Matt Rule as their head coach. So I just kind of thought that was funny, but he really was so desperate. Steve Wilks, he's emotional, he's passionate. You can tell he cares so much about this team, and you can actually tell the players care so much about him. And the players care so much about the team, obviously, but he is doing a magnificent job at rallying the troops and he's just your classic football coach. Like, he's just a player's coach. He's just, everybody would love to play for a guy like Steve Wilks. I love that quote. Great teams learn to finish. Let's go be great. And that's what they've done the last couple of weeks. That's exactly what they've done the last couple of weeks. So, they found their identity. They're playing smash mouth football. I would kind of almost say it's similar to the Tennessee Titans, where you have a really solid running unit. You have decent enough, hopefully, game manager in Sam Darnold. Like I said, I'm a little hesitant. However, so far this season, he hasn't given me any reasons to not believe that they could make the playoffs and even win a playoff game, and who knows. But they're just going week to week. That's Steve Wilks' philosophy, and I think that's what you got to do is just, we're taking it week to week. We're going to focus on this next opponent. For Carolina, it's Pittsburgh. After that, it's Detroit. Finish the season off with Tampa and New Orleans. But what I've really learned from this team yesterday was that they can keep in it with any team, right? It's going to come down to limiting turnovers, not losing the ball, actually, like at all. There are some tough games. There are definitely some tough games on the rest of the season. Like Detroit, to me, which is on Christmas Eve, which will be a very fun game to watch. That's going to be a tough game. Detroit is rallying, right? Detroit is definitely rallying. Tampa Bay, I hate to say it, but you just never know with Tampa Bay. Thankfully, earlier on this season, 21-3, completely obliterated Carolina. I remember watching that game on the plane. They obliterated Tampa Bay. And then you finish the season off against New Orleans. And New Orleans, I know they're having their struggles this season as well, just 4-9. But there's something about those divisional games, as we saw this past Monday night against when they played Tampa. And, they should have won the game. But you know what I'm saying? You just never know. So that's why I like the week-to-week approach. And whether or not, if it's not this season, like I said, once they get, an offensive coordinator, once they get a quarterback, it's just the start for Carolina. That's how good their defense is, and I really like a lot of the young pieces they have. So let me know what you guys are thinking about this Panthers team for the rest of the season. If you guys want more Panthers content, let me know down below. But as always, hit that like button, hit that sub button, and let's try and get 100 likes, and thank you.